Hey everybody, before we get started, just remind you this episode is brought to our patrons like Adam the Harp, Aga Comics, Aga Kazime, Architect 10, Blake Sochi, Carlos Qua, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kaitan, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Charbor, Shawnee P, Some Guy Named Bob, Soda Son of Tour, and 723. If you like what we do and want us to do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early on, so if the guys helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the show where we let you know if you want to roll that 5-star. We're back already, as I predicted. That's how it goes. I thought about putting some, Bollywood-style music as the intro, but I don't even know where to begin with that, so we skipped it and did the normal intro. Anyway, hi, I'm Omega. So Let's Talk FGO Wanted. So today, we will be talking about a limited SSR Berserker Arjuna alter, who is a very meta-relevant boy. Because people are about that kind of thing, so, you'll be out there looking for it, I'm sure. Now, Wanted is broken down into 4 rough segments. We talk about a character's IRL history and folklore, though obviously with an alter, we're going to take some things there. Talk about their fate lore with a capital L, their mechanics, and their rarity. Not their star rarity, but how frequently their rate-ups happen, because this is often very important in people deciding how to roll, so if you want to know that, you gotta wait till the end. We're going to go through all the other stuff. Also, Lost Belt 4 spoilers. Kinda? You be warned, I guess. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the stuff. Okay, so, before we begin, a couple of caveats. Number 1, we're looking about an altered servant, so this shuffles a lot of things around. So for the sake of the first segment of history, we'll be talking about history and folklore of normal Arjuna, and then we'll kind of compare and contrast how that goes with that whole altering situation when we get to the lore section. The second thing is, obviously, it's been a week or less since my last video. My pronunciation has not had time to improve. I will be bad. I will make an attempt, but there's only so much I can do. Anyway, Arjuna is the major character of the Mahabharata? Mahabharata? How does that go?
Mahabharata.
Yeah, that one. So, this is one of the major Indian cultural epics, and I want to mention this because not only is the
Mahabharata
hecking long, it's also outside of my cultural wheelhouse. It's been years since I read my own culture's epics. So, today I'm going to have to give you the Cliff's Notes version. Because it's really long. I tweeted this out earlier. This isn't in my script, but it's 1.8 million words, and it's, I think, 10 times the size of the Iliad and the Odyssey. It's really long, guys, okay? So, we've got to expurgate. To cut down on some of that backstory stuff, the short version is that Arjuna is the third of the 5 Pandava brothers, the sons of Pandu, a member of a mythic dynasty. Pandu couldn't have kids the normal way, or he'd die, so he has his wives invoke mantras to be blessed with their kids by the gods. Arjuna's mother, Kunti, invokes Indra at Pandu's request, and so Arjuna is born as a demigod with elements of Indra in there. Kunti knows how to do this because she was granted the knowledge of the divine booty call earlier in her life, and she tested this practice by invoking the sun god Surya, producing another famous figure in the
Mahabharata.
Karna. Karna and his siblings don't find about this until way later, because Karna was Moses in the bulrush because Kunti was teen god pregnant, and it was a little awkward. Honestly, this whole bit of the mythos is very awkward. You're going to find that out later. Anyway, Arjuna is taught by Drona, who is the same guru who instructs Karna, and is noted by Drona as his favorite student. That is, Arjuna is, not Karna. My script note is a little ambiguous there. Anyway, Arjuna was also noted as being exceptionally talented with the bow, hence why, normally, he's an archer. Also, Drona is Ash's dad. I wrote his whole name down, but then I saw the double T and the V, and I'm like, nope, I'm just not even going to try. I need to wait until he's maybe summonable, and I can see what FGO thinks his name is pronounced as. Anyway, yeah, Drona is his dad, so you can see how horrifically messy this whole situation is, right? So, Karna kind of slots into the role as Arjuna's lifelong rival. They have the same teacher, they have parallel skills in martial arts, but Karna is denied a lot of his birthright because he was adopted by a lower caste. Because of this, Karna is denied a lot of opportunities and even misses a chance to marry the princess Draupadi, who ends up married to all 5 Pandava brothers in some serious rom-com tier shit. But this feud continues even when it becomes known later that Karna is technically the senior-most Pandava brother, and he should become the king because the found family trope is apparently older than dirt. So, in his adulthood, there's a long string, switching back to Arjuna, by the way, long string of epic poems stuff as his father's kin, the Kauravas faction, try to murder the Pandava brothers, and they escape into the wilderness, and they have adventures, and Arjuna gets exiled a couple of times. His family loses a very important game of Dungeon Dice Monsters, and also he picks up his original Noble Phantasms, the Gandiva bow and Shiva's Pashupatastra. So on and so forth. Typical epic poem shit. Now, the important bit for later lore stuff is that while on all these epic character-building adventures, Arjuna spends a lot of time with his cousin, Krishna, who is an avatar of the god Vishnu, and also a powerful deity in his own right. Krishna advises Arjuna about a lot of stuff, and serves as his charioteer during the Kurukshetra? I don't know about if the K and the S are supposed to be one phenome or not. I really wish I understood what letters were what in Sanskrit. Anyway, during the big war, on the condition that he doesn't have to use any weapons. Now, personally, even in my high-level, encyclopedia entries and summaries reading, I found that last bit slightly ironic personally, because when Arjuna sees this whole big war thing coming up and laid out the prospect of fighting his kin and his teacher and seeing all the dead people, he really wants to lay down his weapons and just give it up. But Krishna talks to him about the impermanence of things and proper moral duty and stuff, so he continues to fight. I think this is a very important conversation for lore stuff later. Anyway, after all the attempted kinslaying and the cheating at the dice games and whatnot, there's the big old war between the Pandava and Kauravas factions. The war goes on for 18 whole days, during which many, many dudes are killed. This includes one of Arjuna's sons dying in the middle of the war, and I think also at the end of the war. And also, Arjuna does finally kill Karna in a mortal conflict on day 17, and it ends with the Pandava brothers winning, but at great cost, and Arjuna's eldest living brother, is Karna's dead, taking the throne. After this period, Arjuna serves as prime minister, and eventually all the Pandavas retire, leaving Arjuna's grandson as the next king. They abandon all their worldly possessions and go into the mountains, where every one of them, except the eldest one, falls down and dies for failing some kind of moral test that, at least in the summary, is very ambiguous. Arjuna was theorized, in the narrative, by the way, by his eldest brother who lived, that he was either vain or he suffered from pride in his martial skills. Anyway, the eldest brother gets enlightenment and gets whisked away into heaven, where allegedly the rest of the Pandavas and their wife will eventually join them after they get all their heroic flaws fixed in the underworld. Yes, that was the short version. So, in FGO, Arjuna is mostly like the original version seen in the
Mahabharata.
But they do make sure to play up his mortal rivalry with Karna especially, presumably because Karna was already an established character in Extra. They do this by marking Arjuna as the endowed hero, the hero of endowment, as opposed to Karna's hero of charity, or benefaction, I think is what they translate it as, very flowery in the FGO official localization. Charity's much more to the point. Anyway, they do this as Arjuna is kind of a designated hero-type character. He gets all the cool things and the prizes and the wives, and he was always the best. Like, he's the one who, because of the circumstances of his birth, gets all of the stuff, whereas Karna is denied the stuff. It makes a great classical foil thing going on. Also, they make sure to note that despite being a super perfect hero in talent and personality, this is canonically noted, he has all the right disposition for it, Arjuna is still a human and does have flaws, and honestly, I think this is reflected in the original text. We can see this in the original epic. He fails the last-minute virtue test and falls off the mountain. In FGO, though, specifically in Fate, he has nebulous, dark impulses which he chooses to suppress to be more hero-y. Specifically, he suppresses these emotions. Man, I cannot speak today. Suppresses? I won't do the Sean Connery impression. I nearly did. We'll just go with it, okay? He suppresses these thoughts and emotions onto Krishna, air quotes, which is not the literal Krishna, just that Arjuna in his mind displaces a lot of his less than heroic thoughts onto him. I'm going to say this is probably because somebody in the writer's room read that bit about Krishna talking to Arjuna earlier that I mentioned, where he talked him into the war when he didn't want to fight, and then kind of, ran with that. I could see that as a valid reinterpretation. So, Arjuna Alter, then, is specifically the Arjuna who appears in Lost Belt 4. He is also the Lost Belt King. You know, that whole rigmarole. He's our 4th Lost Belt King servant, all of whom are really strong. Now, while he is altered, this Arjuna is not necessarily reversed, corrupted, or falsified like lots of other alters. His altering process is gained as a result of the fact that he is the Arjuna who obtained all the authorities and divinities of the Hindu pantheon, except Kama and Ganesha, for reasons. How exactly this happened is not defined, at least unless it comes out in the last 5 seconds or so of Lost Belt 4. I'm not quite done yet. It's theorized, though, to have happened sometime during the Big War. Listen, I use the proper noun in my notes. Once again, I can't bring myself to try and pronounce it. Anyway, during this period, he obtained his first authority and then being able to add them to himself, and so he eventually obtained all of them in order to become the single perfect God and create the perfect world. The reason why he wants to create the perfect world is presumably due to all the many many, 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 many dead people. Because there are a lot of dead people in the
Mahabharata.
Now, because he took on so many divinities, his original personality is very much reduced. But because he was such a perfect hero originally, he had a strong sense of self and ego, he retains some of his original personality and doesn't become a purely mechanical entity. He still has his own, thoughts and desires and memories. They're just very disconnected from his whole. Now, specifically, when summoned as a servant, the only authority he retains is Shiva, the Destroyers. He's still a crazy powerful servant with just that, but it's explicitly noted that when you get his summonable version, he's way reduced down to what he's got. Also, as a playable servant, as you ascend him, his humanoid personality starts to come back. Neat. Okay, so now that we're done with all that stuff, you should already know, because you already beat Lost Belt 4, right? We can go into the mechanics, and you can see why people are so crazy about Arjuna, besides the cat ears. Because in case you haven't heard by now, Arjuna Alter is big in the meta. As a berserker, he's nearly universally applicable. When was the last time you met a foreigner mob? And in terms of raw damage output, he is very top tier, okay? Big damage. So, for berserkers, his attack is currently number 4. It will drop to 5th when Summer Musashi comes out, but she's also a different kind of servant. We'll do that when we do that video in a couple of months, so it's not exactly the same. But anyway, even despite this, his cards will still slap about as hard as the likes of Kentoki or Ku Alter because of his passives and other things. You will still be getting about the same level of damage out of face cards. And despite the fact that he has this huge attack value, he still ends up coming out at number 4 in terms of max HP for Berserkers as well. This is current, by the way. This is with new JP stuff. So his stat total is not bad. It is very good. His deck is the Big Bungus, the QABBB, the Gorilla deck as we like to call it. And it has solid hit counts on everything but arts, but high-ish NP gain to compensate. It's like 0.98, as you can see. Now, his NP is dirt simple, and it is not the crux of this kit. It makes this kit do very dumb things with the way it works, but it's not really why he's so stupid strong. It is a Buster AoE, which preemptively applies a Buster resistance down to all enemies based on Overcharge, starting at 20%. So, you do get a little bit of extra damage in there, but that's not why you're using him, or rather, not the only reason why. No, the reason why things get nuts is because this simplicity unfolds into some of the best raw damage numbers in the game. This is because his first skill starts as a 3-turn, 20 to 30% attack up, pretty normal, but also includes a 30 to 50% bonus damage trait for also those 3 turns if the enemy has a debuff, so long as it is not unremovable, on a 5-turn cooldown. Now, naturally, this works exactly with his NP. It is a removable debuff, because it's a normal debuff, that is applied first before he does his NP, which means you get the bonus trait damage. This is immediately why his numbers start to get freaky, but not the only reason. So, yes, he has a crazy damage amp on his first skill, which silhouettes perfectly into his NP, which already means that between the attack up and the Buster res down, you're doing a lot of extra damage. And then it gets better, because his second skill is a Star Absorb for Buster cards for 3 turns, but it's also a 20 to 30% battery, also with a 5-turn cooldown. This gives him an immediate leg up on Raiko, a common competitor in his niche. I'm not going to say, obviously, you should throw away your Mama Raikos or anything, but I know this from experience. She doesn't have a battery. Because Arjuna Alter has a battery, you can do some other dumb stuff with him, and it gets a little freaky and deaky. Now, his final skill is probably his weakest. It's a one-time 3-turn Guts for 1 to 2k HP, that's alright, and a 3 turns of 1 to 2k healing per turn on a spicy 7-turn cooldown. It's not as good as hard defenses, but it is better than nothing, but it's not as scary as the fact that he's got a 20 to 30% battery and then, like I said, that 50% bonus damage cap. So his passives are Madness Enhancement EX and Divinity EX, which keeps his damage levels even further amped. This is what I was talking about with his passives. Like, this guy just does the damage. And I want to point out, because we're at that point now, this is without any additional support. You've got basically 3 offensive buffs that perfectly all stack together on a guy who's got huge HP and passives. Okay? And a battery. Since he's a Buster-focused lad, it's very, very easy to find him the additional support he needs. We cannot discuss Arjuna without discussing how Merlin meshes with him perfectly. Merlin brings a 20% battery of his own and further amps his attack, his buster damage, and his crits, as well as having the hard defenses that Arjuna probably needs in order to tank certain hits. Plus, with his illusion skill, Merlin can AoE debuff enemies for Arjuna outside of his firing NP. So obviously, while usually you will just go ham and start firing NP immediately, there may be times when, say, you've cleared a wave of enemies and you don't have a ready to go for another NP or whatever, you need to apply the debuff so that Arjuna can still get his bonus damage. Illusion does that. Merlin is a great supporter for Arjuna Alter, which is very interesting because obviously the Scotty has been a huge deal lately. Waver obviously makes a great generic support in terms of pure NP gain and buffs, though in order to trigger Arjuna's bonus damage outside of Arjuna's own NP, Waver would have to fire his NP because he doesn't do debuffs anyway. But I want to throw out that since you're using a Berserker, I want to mention Sima Yi. Once she gets her rank up, she's packing the full 50% battery, and again, Arjuna Alter does not necessarily need that. But she also has the hard defenses and even more damage amps as well, plus the interesting ability to temporarily negate class disadvantage with her NP, which is something that may be valuable if you're going to be in a little bit of a slog with Berserkers. Other than those basic support units, Arjuna Alter will either want other units to feed him crit stars or general buster support niches. You know, consider a humble Leonidas if you need to make room on your budget teams. You can obviously use him as an AoE sweeper and just nuke waves, but face card crits will be pretty brutal all the same. The same principle behind units like Lancelot and Raiko. So he can function entirely as your primary damage dealer with these crazy good stats, right? Okay, I'm bad with numbers and math. I don't want to, break it down for you exactly. I have seen the numbers, though. They're high. It's big damage. You can do the calcs yourself. It's not the potential of, looping high-speed low drag that people have talked about with, a Scotty setup, but it's still just, the numbers. The numbers, Mason. So for CE selection, this is really going to depend on the rest of your team comp. You can easily slam a K-scope or even downgrade to an imaginary element on him if he's got full skills for an immediate NP. But if you stick him with a support battery unit, you can also easily take him to 50% charge or more, meaning you can use classic standby CEs like the Golden Sumo to just send that damage into the next Aeon. Just push it to the limit, okay? You can even go ham. You could try, if you've got enough batteries going on, like if you double waver or something, you could go for a Black Grail or some other completely lunatic nonsense. He's got a lot of flexibility because of his own inherent passives and gain stats and the fact that you can use him with a couple different supports. Also, honestly, I don't talk about this a lot, but if it weren't for the fact that it didn't give you any bonus stats, Arjuna Alter's Bond CE isn't actually bad for him either. It gives him 3 hits of invul and a 30% NP damage up. If you want to get funny, you can try it out, but it won't give you quite the damage overkill because, again, there's no, huge attack amp on it. But 30% NP damage is just the spice this needs. But let's talk a bit about what you want to do to get those sweet, sweet damage numbers. Now, for a new SSR, Arjuna Alter is not awful in the Ascension departments. You can see those stats displayed on screen. He does need 6 hearts and 6 lamps. Hopefully that's not too hard at this juncture, but he will need 5 eggs, which are a new mat for Lost Belt 4, so watch out for that one. I believe completing it should give you all the eggs you need from, mandatory drops and story rewards and stuff, but it is something to keep an eye on if you're ascending other servants as well, or giving them skills, because his skills, sadly, are not as kind, which is unfortunate because you really do need those skill levels. These are what you would expect from a high-rarity servant. He requires a total of 24 giant rings per skill. That mat is only a year old, and still I don't think I've got enough of those. And 10 more eggs per skill, a number which at this stage will assuredly require a bit of grinding. So, if you want to get that perfect 10-10-10 and maximize your damage output, be prepared to put in the work. Consider putting in the work now, I guess. I don't know. You got a couple of days. The banner will last a while. But I do want to throw out, because we talk about the rarity, if you want that Arjuna Alter, your opportunity is now, and only now. After Lost Belt 4 Part 2 banner, Arjuna Alter hasn't had a standalone raid up. He has only appeared in GSSR Lucky Bags campaign since then. Obviously, I'm sure, because he's very popular, they will make sure to squeak him back in. They did just do that one rando raid up for Da Vinci Writer in JP. But for now, it's Lucky Bags or this, so strike while the iron is hot, kids. And I do want to throw out there, when talking about future setup stuff that might matter, Arjuna Alter will be a bonus servant for a future Christmas event as well. You can guess which one it is, so keep that in mind. Alright, that's everything for me, folks. I'll see you in the next world. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section down below. You can Also, check the link to our Discord. That link is, as always, in the video description and on our channel page. I am certain that you will be able to go on there and yell at people about your roles. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for more Let's Talk FGO Wanteds and our regular podcast, Let's Talk FGO. Every week, we talk about Fate Grand Order, news servants, deets, speculation, questions from the audience. Fun stuff. Check it out. It's great. People love it. And even if you're already subscribed, consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video, or when we stream, because we stream too. You can also join our channel membership to get access to membership badges and emotes, and, like I said at the front of the video, consider supporting us on Patreon. You could have gotten this video early. I also want to shout out, if you didn't see it already, do make sure to go back and check out our Wanted Ganesha, which came out recently as well. And that's everything. I guess I will see you sometime. I don't know when I'll see you next. Allegedly, Lucky's going to do Maonobu. He doesn't have a lot of time left for that, so let's see how it goes. Give him your encouragement, people. All right, I'm out of here.